Hello friends, I'm Colonel Failure and this is Cities Skylines. Now, for the last couple of episodes we've been very road focused. Initially building this rather magnificent highway section that goes out here. I know it doesn't look like much right now, but when we zoom in, there's some detail in there. And if you back up a couple of episodes, you can see how that was made and the thought process behind it. Since then, we've also built not one, but two rather spectacular spaghetti-like junctions, all aiming to gear us up towards the introduction of a new housing area, a new residential zone, complete with a bit of commercial just to keep things ticking along and provide, jobs and houses and all of that kind of good stuff that people like. Now, before we get to that point, I want to lay out, ever so briefly, just a couple of districts to give an indication of where we're going to go next, or where we're going to go in the grand scheme of things. So the first one I want to lay out is over here. Now, I mean, these are steady on. Mouse slip as the cursor hit the bottom of the screen there. Now, I mean, I'm painting these in a general sense right now. I'm not going to lay on any particular policies for these areas. But this one hit cozy square. I don't think I'm not a cozy square kind of a guy. Let's call this future tourist trap. So yeah, tourism is a big part of After Dark, and that's where this is my tourist zone. We're going to turn this into glorious beachfront property. I had considered kind of this area right here, and then I thought, yeah, this would make a lovely place for a beach and a lovely place with a view of the nuclear reactor. Maybe not. So that's what's going to happen here. Future tourist trap. Obviously, a little more definition than that will occur. Meanwhile, we've got our prison island over here, and we'll probably add a few more, services, bits and pieces on there over time. But I can largely leave that alone. Now, the other big thing that I want to do in this series is a kind of a major international airport. And looking at the landscape, that's going to prove to be tricky. But where I settled on, in fact I just looked at it, was at the halfway up this hillside. It's almost mountain, that kind of scale there. Where in a video game do you draw the difference between a mountain and a hill? Could be a big hill, could be a bit of a mountain. It's got no snow on the top, so who's to say? Anyway, I want to flatten this out and turn it into a major international airport with all the connections and hoo-ha that you would expect to go with it. So, I said I was kind of plumbing this stuff in, plotting it out. So, right about here. Oh, yeah, look at that for some finely crafted kind of zoning. Dale Square. No. Right, flipping enormous airport. That's what that's going to be. Right. Meanwhile, this kind of zone right here, this area, so Keitel at the moment, will occupy both sides of this stretch of highway in the middle. But I want to try and centralize my industry as much as possible. So think of this as kind of industry zone right there, potentially expanding into another industry zone. So the plan, in essence, is that industry occupies the center ground as much as possible. I don't even need to look at what resources are available, that's just the plan. And then around the outside we put all our residential and other things. Now, originally, and I have deviated a little, Hughesburg was supposed to be kind of a separate little town, but it's already grown to the point that it's effectively part of Connery. Different districts notwithstanding, it's deviated from its original ideas. So I'll probably add another little town at some point that is remote and largely unconnected to everything else. The other big bit I'm going to be doing is introducing a relatively large passenger station, complete with every mod con in terms of transport connections. So think buses, think or if there was a helipad. I bet there's a helipad in the mod workshop somewhere, in which case I'll fish that up and plumb it in as well. and then we can get started. Anyway, today, what are we going to do? I've been talking about this brand new residential area for long enough. I've been keeping you on tenterhooks for long enough that today that's what I'm going to build, or at least I'm going to build some more road. I know, just when you thought it was safe to say, "Oh, he's finally done building road." I know you all like when roads get built, but look, hey, building road is pretty much essential. I don't believe it. Precision engineering's gone again. Oh, nuts. So, yeah, I've encountered this a couple of times, and I'm at a loss to explain why it is, but precision engineering, sometimes, it just stops working. For those of you unfamiliar with the mod, fortunately, I don't actually need it for this. I do need it for another bit, so a reload will be necessary. Anyway, I can get started. Precision engineering, it basically gives you a compass and a tape measure built into everything that you're doing. And you kind of go, yeah, and you kind of go, until you've tried it, you have no idea how useful it is. Okay, I'm going to do a reload before I do anything more radical than this, and hopefully it will restore itself. Don't go anywhere. Okay, so we're back in business. I only took the game crashing twice and me having to reload the thing a couple of times, but hey, you don't need to know about my trouble. The good news is, however, that it is daylight again. Awesome. So we can see what's happening. So as you can see, precision engineering is now fully operational, and as a result, I can measure things properly rather than ham-fistedly just plopping stuff in all over the place without a care in the world. What I have, I've even built what I'm intending to build right now. I've built it before, but I've forgotten the measurements. I'm pretty sure it's 80. Hey, look, we're not going to find out unless I try it, okay? I can always delete it back again. So, as much as I am not one for building on a grid, no, I am equally not one for paying attention to when the angle is wrong. Let's try that again, shall we? There we go, 90 degrees. So, I'm not one for building on a grid, and this isn't going to be a grid, as much as there is a square around the outside, just for kind of containment reasons. And one of the things I've considered is doing a grid of non-grid-like entities. Yeah, I know, that doesn't make any sense, does it? But it will do, trust me on this. Let's go across 40 just so I can find the midpoint here. Right, that's now the middle of that. I don't need this one. So, as ever, this is going to involve a grid while we kind of spec it out. I'll do it by... Shall I do it by eye? No, let's just measure the thing properly. 40 again, please. Thank you. No, the middle. No, the middle. If I had any sense, I would have measured that properly as well. But hey, when was sent something I was overburdened with? Right, good. So, this is kind of the whole shape of the... enough getting carried away with zooming. The whole shape of the thing that I'm going to build initially. I'll leave that center marker in there. But we need to go out 10, and then, perhaps inevitably, I'm going to build a flaming circle, because that's what I do. I'm a circles kind of a guy. And then, because one circle is never enough, I'm going to build some more circles. The second one's going to be another 10 out. That's another 10. Oh, it gives just still on the curvy tool we fall. And the reason behind this is, well, it's twofold. Firstly, it should look nice. You know, that's always a consideration worth making. But in a close second place, I do want to avoid bunching things up too much because, my long-standing and storied history when it comes to traffic problems is something that I don't want to be the only thing that I am known for. Don't get me wrong, I'm quite honoured and privileged to be known for traffic problems, but let's just say that it's, I have aspirations beyond traffic jams. Right, one more circle. And therefore, the reason for building out in this fashion is it doesn't completely fill the area that I'm occupying, as it were, and as a result, it should mean that I'm not hitting kind of max traffic capacity in this area. That's if it works. I can see. I mean, at the moment, were this to, were I to pack all of this with naught but residential. So that's the kind of initial shape. It won't look like that what I've done. Trust me on this. Were I to pack this out with residential, given the relatively few exit points that kind of automatically present themselves, yes, it would be a traffic hellhole. There's not really any other way to describe it. But it's not going to end up looking like this, I assure you. We're going to do a little bit more just to break it up some. And this is the first part of that. So, my obsession with near geometric shapes continues. And hopefully the end result should be something that looks pretty decent and actually works in a relatively hospitable fashion. So to expand out of this, what I want to do is build like a partner square next to it over here, space permitting. I may need to relay the highway here a little bit to accommodate it, but to put effectively two wheels, despite the fact they're square, but you get the idea, linked by a kind of a spokey, kind of circular roundabout, kind of a, I don't know, I haven't decided yet. Or maybe, that could be interesting. Maybe I could do, hold on, let's mark this in stone here so that I'm committed to it. Exciting station thing. I'll need to develop that in my spare time before committing virtual road to virtual grass. But that's the yes, that's the intention. Anyway, I want to get this plumbed in. It's been a long time since I built any actual buildings, and therefore, that's a thing we should do. So first thing we need here is we need an off-ramp from the roundabout. Now, I don't want to put... Well, do I? Maybe I do. I'm tempted to not put an on-ramp onto this roundabout because it's going to be awfully busy, this area. So I don't want to flood the roundabout directly. I'd rather put multiple routes out of this kind of housing area. And hopefully you'll get to see how that works in fairly short order. But the first thing I've got to do is... that's not 30 metres. If I recall correctly, that's 21 metres. So I don't want to go up unless I have to. Where are we? You're saying it's 21, but that's colliding, so clearly it's not. And I only know this because I've tried it already. Yeah, I know. That's like a hint of professionalism right there. I have given this a go in advance. How do you feel about that? How high up are you going to make me go? Let's go from further along then, I guess. 27. Okay, 27 will do. And let's go as far as there. And then, because... I'm quite happy to work in a pillarless environment in order to get things to overlap. But I do want to run with pillars simply because it's more realistic. Anyway, now in my test run, this looked really good. Chances are, in this go, it's not going to look quite so good. In which case, I may redesign it after I have finished recording. But let's not be a downer on it. Let's assume it's going to work. So we'll go down by 3 meters, and then get that to snap to 90 degrees. Come out by 3. Alright, and then do the same again. Out by 3, down by 3, round by 3. I think you can see where I'm going. This is going to be like a spiral off-ramp. And if it goes nicely, it should look rather splendid when it's done. I mean, your interpretation of splendid and my own may differ, but that's, you know, that's what we're aiming towards. Now, I can't just go round again, so we have to go a little further this time round. So we'll go out 6 and down 1 and out 6. So there we go. It's just a little loop, just to make things a little different to the norm. In fact, I could probably go round again. Should we go round again? Why the heck not? Right, so we're going back to 6, down another one, and then out this way. Now, this may, of course, dissuade people from making full use of this this rather marvellous ramped area. However, those who do will be rewarded with an exciting drive that their kids will constantly badger them to go, don't go the short route home, Dad. Go the long route home with the exciting, spiralling thing. I don't like that. I've gone off it. Gone off the idea. Hold on, let's try it again. Down 3. No. That's a straight line. That's not what we're working on here in the slightest. I might have to go round 6 here, but in order to continue the spiral, I need to go and look up a book of some description on the geometry of spiraling. I don't doubt for a moment that such a book exists. Maybe 4 or 5 will do it. We're going to try it till we get it right. And in fact, just see this as me getting it wrong so you don't have to. Much like the entire series. Let's have a look. That's down 1, which is not going to be enough for the happy folk here. Right, there's 5. There's 90 degrees, give or take. That's not going to work. It is going to have to be 6. All right, fine. I can live with that, and we won't go a second loop. I will experiment with this in my own time to try and figure out some even more glorious way of accomplishing the task. But the hope is that at some point we'll be able to do some ridiculous, ever spiraling. In fact, I might do something that is nothing but a roundabout with spirals coming off it. That could be fun. Anyway, I've spent enough time on this for now. So let's just crack on. So what I don't want to do is have this join at an existing junction. I know the conventional wisdom is that you should always join it at an existing junction. That way you centralize all your traffic problems and you don't add, as I have just done, or in theory have just... No, I have done, right? No, I haven't. But I could have done. You don't end up adding more traffic lights to an existing stretch of road. Traffic flows best when it's got a nice long stretch of road to play with before a decision needs to be made. But in this case, I'm not so bothered about that. What I need to do... Let's put my mind in gear there. What I do need to do is figure out the best route to get people out of the district again. And as mentioned before, if I don't use enough connections, so let's say, for example, that these 3 kind of low-hanging fruit connections represented my 3 outs from the city. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's quite a lengthy one there. Then you would end up with nothing but traffic queues from those areas. And as much as public transport is kind of a big deal for this particular section of the city, it's not really what I want to go for. Oh, I could work another spiral in here. That's just occurred to me. So I could potentially, and I'm not going to do it now, I'll do this. What I'm going to try and do from here on out, folks, is I'll talk through the plans and I'll do most of the work on screen, and then when when you're off eating an occasional bacon sandwich, or, trying to beat your high score at Tetris, or whatever it is that you do in your spare time, I'll come back and do it for reals. That way, you don't end up with watching me endlessly puzzling out. So what I'd quite like to do would be to mirror this angle from the lower deck, because obviously different connections use the lower deck. But getting across these flyovers I've already got in there is going to be tricky. I'll ponder that, because I'm going to do some more connections in my while I'm not here, while you're elsewhere, and before we meet again, I will have accomplished many things. At least that's the goal. Right. So next up, we want 2 connections coming out of here. One of which leads on, and one of which comes off. Where are we? Right. 85 degrees, 90 degrees. 90 degrees is a good, solid angle right there. So 90 degrees off there. And then, where's that starting? At 5. So here-ish, if I'm lucky. That doesn't look right to me. It doesn't look right to you either, I can tell. And yet it is right. It's only because the distance to the road itself is slightly different. And then from here, that one's going to be one direction. This one's going to be one direction minus Zane. Okay, so this would be the off-ramp here, and really I could do a better job at getting this to... No. Look, do something that makes it look like that's naturalistic, will you? And if you think that curve looks even slightly natural, stop. I know you're keen on snapping to that bit, but I'm not. Although maybe I could use the... See, that actually works, doesn't it? Right. Okay. And then we'll mimic that the other side. Although, saying that, mimicking anything with this enormous length of slip road here is going to lead to disappointment. So let's just go back here, maybe. Well, we did manage to find a 45-degree snap point. 44.3 is close. 45.8 closer, arguably. What do we think to that? Let's have a look. It's not pretty. Alright, no. We need something more attractive than that. One could call it some sort of minor obsession. Anyway, I have formulated an scheme. Let's use this as my start point. Take it up 12 meters. I suspect you already know where I'm going with this. What do you think? Well, you've got no pillars, so... and actually it's going to need to go up higher than that, so... Think again. Right. Let's take you up. 18? Is 18 enough? 18 is enough. 15 is probably enough. But let's not chance it. Then we'll go to that. Looks about right. And then on top of this, we will build another circle, because I can't get enough of circles in my life. 10 should be enough. Or is it? And it's floating at the moment, and I don't want to make it floating. I want to put some pillars in here. But you know what? That's not bad. For not a lot of... for quite a lot of guesstimating. That's pretty respectable. It is just slightly hanging over the right side a little more than the left, but I'm dandy with that. That's acceptable. Right, now let's delete some of it. Because, you know, that always ends well. And then lay it back in with pillars attached. In fact, it has a pillar on the end there, look. 10, please. There we go. So now it's you know, it's not supporting its own weight just using the, you know, the sturdy inscrutability of concrete. It's now actually, you know, got some proper load-bearing aspect to it. Except, of course, it hasn't. What you got? What are you colliding? Pillar in the middle of the freeway. Well, that's not desirable. And to be honest, I don't know how I'm going to get around that. Other than removing the pillars. Okay, inevitably we're going to end up with some pillars, some floating sections, I think I can probably, by banging some pillars up here, because look, as much as it's going to be a marvel in terms of its ability to self-support, I do want at least a nod towards gravity actually existing. That's my defense, and I'm sticking to it. How's that? All right. That looks okay. That actually we can live with that. And then from here we'll do the usual trick of upgrading this to freeway, and obviously we'll spin that around so it's facing the right way. The space is not already occupied. Surely not. Oh, you want to put a pillar in? No, you don't. Nope, you're going to have to float, I'm afraid. There you go. You can have a pillar. How about that? And you can't. And you possibly... No, you definitely can't. Right, okay, and then let's get them all facing the right way. And there. Okay, so that gives us a route out. So we have a route in here. Let's get off this clickety-clackety tool. We have a route in to the city here. We have a route out from the city, which will give us access to this piece of highway. And I'll probably, given that I like that I like as a notion. I hadn't thought of that beforehand. I have just now. I think it's cool. I'll do the same thing over here, and we'll do another traffic circle, another roundabout over there, and maybe that will then form the centre point for the second square as well. Interesting. Not entirely sure. Anyway, I do need to route more areas of this. What's it going to be? It's going to be residential mostly. Let's flag that, shall we? So yeah, as mentioned, residential mostly. Yeah, so I need more routes in and out, otherwise traffic will get snarled. And as much as public transport is going to be a big deal for this particular area, making sure that there's road traffic access is pretty vital. And when you return, I will have got those connections up. And you've seen me fiddle about with this bit and build this lot, right? You've seen enough of me building roads for the time being. You want to see some actual growth so that we don't just settle on 24,500 people living in the town from here to eternity. So tune in next time to see how that's panned out and to get some actual progress in your actual YouTube viewing. Thanks very much for watching today. I've been Colonel Failure. Chucks a like, bung a comment in, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will catch up with you very soon. Thanks for watching. Cheerio.